Well, good evening, and we begin at 5 with what you might call a September surprise in a key Portland race. It is a significant fine totaling tens of thousands of dollars issued against City Council candidate Renee Gonzalez. Gonzalez right now trying to unseat Commissioner Joanne Hardesty. Well, thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko. This has to do with what elections officials say the campaign accepting and not reporting a substantial discount on campaign office space downtown. Investigative reporter Evan Watson joins us now. Evan, in all, a $77,000 penalty. Walk us through what you've learned here.
The Portland Elections Program says Renee Gonzalez's campaign has paid just $250 a month since May for downtown Portland office space. That office space has a fair market value of $6,900 a month. The program's director in Portland says that represents a 96% discount that wouldn't be available to the public. The office space is owned and rented by Schnitzer Properties. Real estate developer Jordan Schnitzer has supported Gonzalez's campaign. Schnitzer donated $250 to the Gonzalez campaign, the maximum amount allowed for an individual donation, on May 2nd, according to campaign finance data. That came one day after the lease for this office space started. Susan Mate, director of Portland's Small Donor Elections Program, says the huge discount on rent represents an illegal contribution, violating campaign finance laws.
When you violate the prohibition on large contributions and accept a contribution, of $33,000, that goes against the point of the program to ensure our democracy is strong and healthy and accountable to the people.
The penalty, Renee Gonzalez's campaign shared this statement. They said, "We evaluated accountability and elections rules when we entered into the lease and strongly disagree that the rent is too low given the dismal state of downtown. Landlords are desperate to get any kind of compensation for their space because of the city's failures to address crime and homelessness has made downtown inhospitable to tenants, landlords, and visitors." The Gonzalez campaign did pay utilities on top of the monthly rent, according to statements they provided to investigators. The campaign has until October 4th to appeal the $77,000 in total in penalties.
And we'll see if that happens. Thank you, Evan. So what might this mean for the race, especially for the Gonzalez campaign about 7 weeks out here? We asked KGW political analyst Len Bergstein to put it all into perspective.
So it's bad news for Gonzalez, who tries to make the campaign, he wants the campaign to be a referendum on Joanne Hardesty and her term in office. He wants to make the voters say, you're not happy with the incumbent, and so vote her out of office and vote me. This fine and the issues around them give Joanne a chance to say, see, this is really a referendum on the challenger, and the challenger has got a problem.
Well, Len adds the timing of the fine does not do Gonzalez any favors. And for context, this is only the second time the city's small donor elections program has actually issued a fine. The first time it was for $5 compared to $77,000 here. To Portland's homeless crisis and neighbors taking a new tactic to clear a camp that keeps coming back. We're talking about the one on the edges of Laurelhurst Park. And this evening, a lawyer representing neighbors is arguing the city has to clear out the tents because it is not safe for campers. Let's get to Mike Benner in the newsroom. Mike, admittedly, there is a lot of history here, though this time they're saying it is all about the trees.
Yeah, right, David. According to an attorney representing people living in the area, those trees are too dangerous and could do a lot of harm to the campers. We checked in with campers who believe this tactic is heartless. Neighbors, on the other hand, say it's time for the encampment to go away for good.
Mike Carulli has lived across the street from Laurelhurst Park for most of his life. He'll be the first to tell you it's not as pleasant as it once was. And he says the homeless camp is to blame.
Personally, it's just disgusting because I feel that the majority of the people are not homeless. They're young, workable people that don't want to work.
It's a sentiment echoed by other neighbors who have since turned to attorney John DiLorenzo for help. Late last month, DiLorenzo sent a letter to the city urging them to clear the camp along Southeast Oak between Cesar Chavez and 37th. In addition to the camp posing a public health concern and blocking park access, DiLorenzo claims the trees are in bad shape. That, according to an arborist. In fact, the trees are in such bad shape that it's believed branches and limbs could fall and hurt, if not kill, campers.
If it works, that's great.
That's one way to look at it. But one of the Laurelhurst Park campers, who wanted to remain anonymous, said this about the latest tactic to clear the camp.
I think that it is clearly not something that they concocted out of compassion.
This man does not think neighbors hired an attorney to approach the city out of concern for campers, but instead out of concern for themselves.
It is an us versus them tit for tat situation and honestly what they want most of the time is to stir the pot to get somebody out here to react.
Regardless, a spokesperson for Portland Parks and Rec tells KGW a city arborist did go ahead and inspect the trees. It was determined one should come down soon, while 2 others had problematic limbs that were removed as a precaution. We're told further inspection could come as soon as later this week, as the city does have plans to clear the camp, which can't come soon enough for neighbor Mike Carulli.
I'm appalled at this, what we've come to.
All right, it's worth noting this is not the first time John DiLorenzo has gone after the city of Portland regarding the homeless. Earlier this month, he was part of a team of attorneys representing people with mobility disabilities in a lawsuit over homeless camps and debris blocking sidewalks. They say letting camps block the sidewalk violates the Americans with Disabilities Act. They want a judge to make the city clear sidewalks and make shelter space available for everyone they move. David?
Mike Benner in the newsroom. Thank you, Mike. And while we do not want to paint any community with a broad brush, addiction is widely understood to be one of the main challenges facing our homeless population. Now, on the heels of hearing that the funding associated with Measure 110 has now been spread statewide, some $300 million or so, we did a bit of a check-in to see if there are places people can go to get immediate help. It is no secret resources are limited. And KGW found there are only 2 large-scale walk-in detox centers in the Rose City, Fora Health in Southeast and Hooper Detox Center in North Portland. Now, each morning, 6 days a week, people line up at those detox centers outside their doors. But in what's become an all too familiar story, advocates say neither place has enough beds, and they end up turning people away.
Horrible. I just actually walked out of the rehabilitation center after waiting and just said, I just need help. And to not be able to get that, very deflating.
It is frustrating. I'm trying to help a friend get in right now, and there's no open beds anywhere.
One of the earliest moments of distress of the day is when there's a long line and there are 6 open beds.
Yeah, in large part, it comes down to those treatment centers needing more physical space and more staff. They say they're almost always to get people in if they come 2 or 3 days in a row. After that, they connect the patients to case managers. The goal is to never discharge people back into homelessness. But given the challenges, they say that is not always possible. In Estacada, Milo McIver State Park has reopened after a fire broke out earlier this month and destroyed one home nearby. Bryant Clerkley was there today and joins us now. Bryant, how are things looking?
Well, they're in the recovery part right now, David. The park has been closed for 10 days. The fire was up towards the west end. Firefighters say it took several days to get the fire under control, and people who live in the area say they're thankful for emergency responders.
This is what the intersection of Springwater and Stormer Road looked like less than 2 weeks ago when you couldn't even get close to Milo McIver State Park because of the wildfires. Flash forward to now and it's a completely different scene. The park reopened to visitors earlier this week and people are thankful it was able to be saved.
Very grateful for the firefighters and what they did there. Well, I think they lost one home up on the hill and that was it. They did a great job.
Sarah Poet with Estacada Rural Fire District says this home near the park burned down. There was also a barn in the area that was lost. She says it was a long process getting the park ready for visitors again.
Part of that reopening was dropping the hazard trees in the fire area so it was safe for people to re-enter the park. And then they did mop up, which was suppression inside the fire perimeter and get those hot spots knocked down.
She says the fire was on the west end of the park and there was some damage.
They're looking at the timber and then all of that kind of regrowth and damage from that.
Poet says they were prepared for a fire like this one. Extra crews were called in and there was extra equipment available. The cause of the fire is still under investigation.
There were some great saves. We saved one house that was on fire, got that knocked down and put out, and we saved one barn that I know of.
And portions of the park are still closed. The campground will reopen on Friday. The Riverbend side and the disc golf course will be closed until further notice.